Okay, so things are going to be a little bit different tonight because I found out that the office sent us these care packages for Halloween, and they have these caramel apple suckers in them, and these are awesome. So I guess I won't be able to talk too much until this is done, but I guess briefly I wanted to talk a little bit about what I got up to in between streams last time. Number one was I got this client setup stuff happening so that it splits traffic between WebSockets and plain HTTP. And that's what allows me to use the subscriptions that I set up on the back end before the stream started up. So yeah, this was like a lot of little details, looking up bits of the API for Apollo client here and there. But it wasn't that big of a deal. And in fact, I'll make a quick change here. So the thing of it was, I wanted to wrap all of this setup in some kind of a closure to hide all these little variables and stuff that were going to go into the final client. And since originally I had the client just instantiated in the module scope, I did it as one of those self-executing functions. But really, it's not that necessary. I don't need a client to be hanging out in the module. It can be hanging out in the component tree right here during the initial render. It's just as bad. And just as good, I guess. So, c'est la vie. But yeah, the whole thing here is just detecting what kind of operation is happening. Is it a query? Is it a mutation? Is it a subscription? And then routing it to either the WebSocket or the HTTP transport. A couple extra dependencies wired into the package, and that was it. So that was one big piece that I got up to in between streams. The other was CodeGen. So down here I added a couple of scripts using the Apollo client, or rather the Apollo command line tool. So this thing is able to spit out types based on the queries that you write, and there's a watch mode as well. So it'll check my sources as I modify the queries and stuff, and then spit out types. And I'll show you an example of that. So the trick of it here is these types get generated based on the name of the query. So whatever you write here becomes the name of the type. And then when you use that query, you have to hint to the hook that this is the type that the return value is going to match. It's a little weird and it feels a little manual, but in truth, it's not that big of a deal. And in fact, once I started plugging it in, like here, the more I started to use these types, the more little things the compiler started to flag. Like I think must have been in the card picker maybe. Yeah. Selected card I had originally defined as a number or undefined, but in reality it was a number or null. And I didn't know. But the compiler was able to tell me as soon as I started plugging those types in. So that's all good. Looking at the app, now that I've wired up the WebSocket transport and I got the subscriptions working, that means that these changes are pretty much instantaneous. We're not polling the server anymore. So every time I click one of these cards, the server gets basically like a REST endpoint, a post message. And as soon as the server sees that change to the server-side game state, it broadcasts a subscription update to all the connected WebSockets to say, okay, here's the new game state. And so that's what drives the selection status of these cards in the UI. So with all that in place, I kind of need a to-do list to complete the app. Tonight is hopefully going to be my final stream on this. So what's missing? I need to respect the admin status of the user. So I need to do a key challenge where I look at the URL to see if there's a key query string parameter. And if there is one, I try to send it to the server and say, hey, does this match your secret? And if it does, then I'll let the user see that button. I also need to wire up the button so it does something. So that's to do. I need to flesh out the player cards component so that it's actually displaying whatever the game state has in it. And I need to wire up this name setter thing. And I'm going to deviate a little bit from the original U implementation that I came up with. So I'm probably going to break this out into its own component and do a little form in there. The U implementation was all kinds of messed up, and that was really perplexing. I don't know, looking at key codes and stuff, trying to figure out if you should, save the value or not. I'm going to wrap this thing in a form. I may even put a button on it. I don't know. But, yeah, it seems like... Anyway, I'm just going to riff on that and make sure that the data goes where it needs to go. And with that, I guess I'm going to mute my mic and I'm going to suck on this lolly. And I'm just gonna get down to it. So if you have questions, throw them out there. I'll take a lolly break and try to answer them, but from here on out I'm just gonna try and pile through it. Actually, you know what? I think I just said all that while muted because I can't drive this thing anymore. I'm not even sure. It seems like I could have been. You heard it all? Thank goodness, Sample Jesus. My hotkeys are not global enough. I really need to have OBS focused in order to toggle that mic, which is really creeping me out. But, all right. Once again, I'm not going to stress out about that. And I am going to get right down to it. Hey Jeff, no worries. I'm gonna be off mic for a little while. I've got this killer lollipop that work sent. They gave us a care package for Halloween, so I'm gonna be just working my way through this caramel apple and trying to ham fist my way through getting some of this feature work done. So that was a thing. But I guess really the thing that I wanted to call out here was just like the workflow around the GraphQL query, like writing out the specific access that you were going to do to the server, the fact that it's a mutation because we're changing data. I still don't understand why we need to do like this weird pass-through thing, and I'm almost certain I read once that maybe this was completely optional, and maybe you only need to do that in certain situations, but all the examples on the Apollo docs seem to use this form. But I guess now that everything's wired up and with the types, I should be able to like mess with this a little bit and see if I can get rid of the duplicity there. So the names all line up. Like why would I need to type out the types like that? Oh well, more research required, I guess. This is the kind of thing I'm not even sure how to Google. What I need is to like read a bunch more GraphQL queries and see if I can kind of detect a pattern somehow. Because that just seems weird. Like if the server knows the types, why do I have to spell it out for it? It's weird. Yeah, so subscriptions are interesting. Basically, trying to think of how best to illustrate this. I've got the schema, right? So this is the schema that was generated by the server, and so every field under a root. So there are 3 roots. There's query, mutation, and subscription. They partition the different types of operations that there can be, but everything under those roots are they're objects. in the GraphQL verbiage. And so on the back end, objects are composed of resolvers, and resolvers are the individual fields on objects. And depending on your server implementation, either those resolvers are like one-to-one with a piece of data, like a bare value, scalars, or those resolvers hand you back another object which have their own resolvers on them. So when you have a subscription that offers you a game state, what that looks like on the back end is so this is the subscription implementation that I have for game state, where we connect and I get a copy of the current game data, and I add it to a stream, which is kind of like you can think of it like a generator expression in Python. So I grab a copy of the game state as it is when you first connect, and I load that in there. And then after that, I'm kind of doing like an itertools chain type deal. And I'm listening to messages that come off of the socket. And so every time I get a message off the socket, I drop another game state in there. And if we go look at the game state definition, it's a GraphQL object with two resolvers, one of which is calling. And the resolver looks at my global data and it returns whatever the value is for that field in my global data. And the other resolver is players, which does a similar thing. It looks at my global data, and then it maps each of the vec of the players into the player objects. So I've got my from implementation here. So there's the raw data, just plugging that thing into an object compatible with GraphQL. And so this is one of these one-to-one structures where I don't have any like custom resolvers happening there. It's just raw data. And they have a little shortcut for that, which is this simple object that you can derive. So I don't know how explanatory that is, but that's the gist. When somebody connects to a subscription, this is the routine we go through. We give them an initial burst of data, and then we wait for this socket to activate. And then every time it activates, we drop another one of these game state objects in there. And every time one of those game state objects is like sent to the client, it goes through that whole resolver tree thing to turn into a final JSON payload at the end. Yeah, the big takeaway for me was just how concise this was and how elaborate it is under the hood. Like, there's a lot going on there. So I don't know. That's powerful to me. Even just like the simple messages, like these are the different methods that I have under the mutation root, I guess. So we just looked at set player name, right? So what happens with set player name is we receive some parameters. We check out, I've got a mutex on the global game state, the data there. So we lock the mutex, we get the player out of the vec of players, or I guess the hash map of players. We set the name on it, and then we return an OK true at the end. And then once all of that is done, we call this notify subscribers thing, which is how we activate those signals. So every time something changes in the play session, we we launch a unit, basically just an empty message, into this broadcast channel. and all the connected sockets will get a ping. Yeah, and so we don't actually send any data, which is kind of interesting. All we do is we send a prompt. We send that prompt, and that's what kicks off another instance of this game state resolver deal. Yeah, it just small amount of code. Like it's interesting. I'm rambling now, but it's interesting because there are so many like small primitives that stack together to create this big elaborate thing. And there's a lot of power in that. So that's kind of why I'm so interested in it right now.
Forget facts, forget logic, forget everything that seems real.
I just want to go on the record and say I have no idea why TypeScript is mad about this. I figured it out. It's right. It's always right. The Rust shell. Oh, Starship RS, I think. It's weird. A bunch of Python developers were the ones who I saw waxing about it. It's kind of nice to see, Rust projects gaining traction in other spaces. Sort of nice. So you may notice something I got for free on the old implementation where I was relying on having a dedicated WebSocket connection for every connected client. So every player in the old version of this app would open up a WebSocket, and as soon as it opened, that WebSocket handler would generate a player ID and then register a bunch of plumbing on the back end so that broadcasts can happen. And then when you disconnect, there's code in the back end to clean up after you. So it'll remove the player from the game, it'll destroy the player data, all that stuff. It just happens automatically. But as you notice, like I've got a bunch of guests here, and that's because now I don't have that one-to-one socket connection. The GraphQL workflow is kind of based around a combination of WebSocket for stateful stuff and low latency versus stateless plain HTTP for the rest of it. So my player registrations are firing, but there's nothing to remove the player after they're done. So I need to figure out a way to make that not happen. Which is something I keep forgetting about. Okay. So let's see if we can tackle that next. We're making pretty good progress, I think. I think other than player data cleanup, I need to wire up this button, and extra credit, I need to add the reset button to go along with this that we didn't have in the old version. Yeah. But then I think that's about it. Or at least it's going to be close enough that we can use it at work tomorrow. Kick the tires a little bit. So yeah, what about this player data problem? So I can so get client ID is the registration part. This is what I send this mutation to the server, and I get my UUID back, and then I use that UUID to do other operations that are player specific. And I do that in this use effect. So I could try and use the return function from this use effect. All this code runs when app mounts, and it should kick in the callback that I return when the component unmounts. Now, that may not be enough, right? Because that code may not run if the page unloads fast enough, or even at all. I don't know. We'll try it. Let's see. So just as this proof of concept, I'm going to say to hit a breakpoint on unmount. And I just want to see if I hit that breakpoint. I absolutely do not hit that breakpoint when I hit that reload button. What if I close the tab? No, nothing. So I need a different way. I need to hook into like the window unload event or something like that, Wow, it's been a while since I thought about any of this stuff. Okay. Gonna be time to do some Googling. And actually, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go throw this out and get myself a drink. Okay. So I see some good suggestions from Sample Jesus over here in the chat. Looking at the unload event on window. Maybe that stuff will work, maybe it won't. So we'll try before unload. Oh, and you know what I can do? I can say, I can unregister it if the component gets unmounted, which would be polite, I guess. What do I have here? Oh, actually, I don't think that's how that works. Okay, so I have a couple of things that need to happen that aren't going to be happening here. But really, right now, all I want to know is whether or not this stuff fires when I need it to. So. Does not appear to. Yikes. Ah. Well. Do I need to do an event prevent default? Maybe. What's sort of interesting is, I mean, maybe I need to do like a more formal log in, log out kind of a deal. I don't want to do that. Not for this project. I wonder what my breaking point is. Like how many players before this thing completely flakes out? I wonder. Yeah, this is something I haven't thought about for a while, but certain functions you can return false from, or certain event handlers, I should say. So that's interesting. Where's my home? I don't see how. Maybe I just can't. Maybe I just can't set a breakpoint in here, and maybe that's fine. So okay, so the deal here is I need the. Can I do an alert? Yeah, that's a good question. I was gonna do a confirm, but no. Like I was just briefly thinking, what if it's because it's an arrow function? I don't know. I don't know why that would be any different. Per MDN, the HTML specification states that calls to window alert, window confirm, and window prompt methods may be ignored during this event. Okay. So I guess here's the where does this lead us? I guess all of these things that are designed all these things that are designed to like catch the browser, maybe I just don't use that as a diagnostic tool. Maybe I go right for the actual implementation here instead of like just trying to do a quick proof of concept. Maybe that's the thing. And so how is this going to work? What I need is the client ID, which may or may not be fetched here. And so I'm going to put this in a use effect, which may or may not be really what I want. And I guess the thing of it is, I don't really need to worry about removing the event listener. Like, I guess in a perfect world, it would make sense, especially if I was doing kind of like history, push state, page transitions, and that kind of thing. But I'm not doing any of that. So I'll just go ahead.
This is when it's disjoint and lost power.
Okay, so we've got a query. And now I need a callback based on that query. And this tripped me up earlier. I wasn't sure why. It was like it didn't generate my type when I expected it to, but it seemed to work that time. Okay. Alright, so we got the remove player thing here. And then I would just call it with, and I'm going to remember that this takes, this is an options object where I can do a variable bind. And it wants me to pay attention to the promise, so I guess I will. Half-heartedly. Okay, so reset. I'm gonna shut down the server. Gonna grab that admin key just in case I feel like it would be fun to be an admin. Hey, look at that. The guest appears and the guest goes away. So that was stupid. Sometimes, you know, you're trying to be smart and you're trying to confirm a set of assumptions before you go too much deeper. And sometimes it just bites you in the ass. I don't know. I feel a little bitter about that. But okay, that's a good resolution, and I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, see, sometimes you can get it into a shitty state where it doesn't fire correctly. Too fast, yeah. So, I mean, maybe we just don't do that. The proper way to handle this would be to have some kind of a heartbeat. And to have the server just watch for connections, and if it doesn't hear from a player for a certain amount of time, drop it from the game. But, you know. But I do wonder. I wonder if I should do something about that. No, probably not. There are a couple of different ways we could do this. We could do this with like a polling thing. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. But it's nice to know, though, that we've got options. So This is just, there's always going to be like one little caveat with this app for whatever reason. Do a purge all button. Yeah, I mean, I think really the purge all button there is to just shut down the server and bring it back up again, which is fine. It's not like we're going to be super invested or something, having picked a card and entered a name. It's a low path to recovery. Uh-oh. Ah. I think this is a bug in the new implementation here. I think it's because 0 is falsy. Time to fix that. Okay, so that would be in player cards, right? And yeah, here's the check. So we can tell that this field is number or null, and that is the test that we should be using. So if selected card is null, then we're undecided. Otherwise, empty string. Excuse me. That's better. Yeah. Okay. So what else is left? Calling. Gotta do the calling. No, I don't want that change. We do want remove player. And the reset button. Yeah, I'm hoping to get to that before I wrap this up. This has gone longer than I hoped. Okay, so what was this? That is not going to happen. This is bug fix. So this should just be the imports, which I don't want. So they go away. Okay. All right, so calling. So how does calling work? Calling is, that is another mutation. the call mutation. And call doesn't take anything. That is an assertion. This is that's all you do. You just call. And reset is very similar. Why do I have resume as a part of this API? That's something to clean up, I think. Wait a minute. I need to look at the original implementation. The macros that U uses, they break my editor or something fierce. It's just non-stop giving me weird shit. It can't tell what the return type is from this method because it sees this, and this, it doesn't recognize the generated output from this HTML thing, which produces the correct type, but it thinks that this has something to do with the return value for some reason. It doesn't. It's just lying. Okay, so we've got the toggle calling message, and toggle calling is handled in here somewhere inside of update. Toggle calling. Okay. All right, so yeah, this is not what I remembered, but that's fine. I guess that's fine. We can do it up. Oh, I don't call these are just fields. That's right. Because these are it's GraphQL over here. These are resolvers. Okay, so call, resume, and reset. We need all three of these. This seems a little noisy. You know, I would probably want to do another round of design on this stuff because these hooks are just like stacking up now. So I actually don't really need the types in these because these all just return Booleans anyway, and I don't need the data back. So I'll skip it. And I guess I'll do toggle calling. Just gonna be a use memo. It's gonna be a use callback, which depends on is calling. And I gotta move this stuff. I should give up on logging these errors out because I really don't care, which is terrible, but all right. So we've got a toggle calling now. And so I can trade this out. Don't need that, fix me. Okay. So we've got two admin guests. We've got Alice on page 2, Bob on page 1. We're going to make some selections. Bob is going to call. Okay. So I've got that truthy falsy thing going on again, I think. But the good news is the call button seems to be working from both ends, which is great. I don't know why the player cards display stuff is, this is where everything has gone wrong. Another bug fix for player cards. Yeah, see? Oh. You know what the difference is? In the old implementation, In the old implementation, I had a method on player that that would tell me the card name, and on top of that, everything was options, right? So I was always checking to see if there was some or none. And now I'm kind of doing truthy falsy, and that's sublime ignorance. So if it's not null, there we go. These dang falsies. That, you know, I should know better, but also, what the hell? All right. So yeah, what do you think, Sample Jesus? This is technically on par with what we already had, I think. You want the emoji ones? Let's get some infinity in there. There we go. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much the same. I mean, it's a little different, but it's pretty much there. So what did I do on the V client? Oh, I messed up with the white space. Okay. I can't break it up any smaller. All right. I was gonna prune out the resets, but I am not gonna do that. But yeah, no, it really goes to show how much more conducive to sanity Rust's type system is compared to JavaScript and even TypeScript. TypeScript really didn't have a leg to stand on there to help me. So okay. We're all clean. Push that up. All right, so let's get a reset button in there. Let's see how that works. Because I don't actually remember if I've run that code at all. Ever. I could try it. Try it right now. So it's a mutation. It's called reset. It returns true when it works. Oh yeah, look at that. I guess it does what it's supposed to do. Now we just need a UI to trigger it. So that's cool. Put that away. So really I can do another button in here. I can turn this into a fragment. Put these beside each other. Actually, this should be like a div. Because then I can do some Flexbox stuff on these buttons if I need to. What does that look like? Paracall buttons. That's not exactly what I was hoping for. Yeah, so let's do a little bit of styling here. I always forget how this works. So if I want, I guess I should be consulting the Tailwind docs. FlexGrow would go on each of the children, huh? I actually think there should be a smarter way to do this on the container. Yeah, that's not right. I mean, I guess that could work, but... that's not exactly what I thought I would do. Maybe call wasn't, I don't know. Oh yeah, I guess call was the wrong one. I always get it backwards. Give it a little space. Oh. Man, I fucked up on my use callback. So that's interesting. I thought, yeah, so What the hell? Yeah, so flex row is definitely the one that I want. Where? Oh, flex call. Okay, so I was looking at this here, but this is actually the container for the entire app, right? So these different sections are following the column structure. Okay. So on click, do I have anything I need to do with reset, or do I just, I think I just call it. OnClick doesn't like that because it's going to try to send the event in there, and reset doesn't accept any args, so I guess that's what I'm going to do. All right. So we got some selections. That didn't appear to do anything. That worked. I don't know what's going on with my my newfangled fast reload, or whatever the fuck they called it. I'm meant to be seeing live updates on edit, but it seems like it hasn't really been working, which is interesting. I don't know. This reload tech tends to get flaky. Okay, so we got a reset button. The reset button works whether you're calling or not. Just wipes out everybody's cards. And even if you are calling, it will wipe them out and reset the calling state. I don't know really if that's important, but it seems like the right thing. The main thing is it's going to prompt all the players to make another selection, so. Okay. So. Well, all right. So the very last thing that I would need to do in order to make this official would be to update the Docker container. Ugh. And yeah. So what we do in the Docker container is we get Node.js, we get Rust installed in there, we build the server, and then we cd into the client directory and we npm install that thing and we build it. So I would update this to be React, and that should work. Then I change this to copy. To copy what? Oops. I think the directory is called build. Okay, so in this situation, we've got a build directory instead of a dist. Can I rename it here? I don't know if that's going to do what I want it to do, but I guess we'll find out. Just build this up real quick. I think if this all works, I may reorder some commits, I may combine them, I may do a little bit of rebase surgery. But then I'll merge this branch into the default branch, and then I'll have another branch where I remove all the original implementation, including all the WASM pack stuff, all the U code will go, and then I think most of the common crate that I had in the middle there for types that were shared between the client and server will be able to go. Everything would become server code as far as the Rust code base is concerned, which is kind of nice. It's, you know, centralizes all the schema information is owned by the server code, and clients, they just consume that schema from an endpoint or what have you, because GraphQL broadcasts the schema to all people that connect to it. Just for the record, I have no idea why it sat there on add code for minutes. That was really weird. It makes me think that my ignore patterns are not good. So like something that isn't immediately obvious is like with Docker. That So the dot at the end of that Docker build command was the context directory. And whatever that directory is, that's what Docker can see when it's moving files into the container. And if you have a shitload of files in whatever that directory is, it's basically like doing this weird mental math to figure out like where all the files are, what the layout looks like, and that's the build context. And you can effectively run your machine out of memory if you just have a shitload of files under that path for whatever reason. So, usually you use Docker ignore to put up roadblocks so that Docker doesn't look under certain paths. But the problem with Docker ignore is that it also blocks you from seeing that stuff during the build. So if you, how do I say this? So a classic example is like a target directory or a node modules, right? Something that has a bunch of build artifacts in it. If you expect to Docker ignore whatever that path is so that you can rebuild it inside the Docker build process, files that happen, or rather layers that run after that point within the Docker build might not be able to see that thing that you hid, which is fucked. So I don't know. I suspected that was just, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. What the heck is, my machine is working hard. I ran into swap a little bit. I wonder what that was for. Is this the laptop? No, this is my desktop. This is my my 2014 System 76 desktop. This is the one that I had to replace the RAM in just a couple of months ago. Yeah, Yeah, that's right, Sample Jesus. We have very similarly spec'd machines. I think you said you had the same video card as I did, even, but you had just replaced it. I forget what it is now. It's like a 970 or something, 980, something like that. Okay, so the container built, and what I want to do now is I want to verify that my directory rename did what I wanted it to do. So I'm gonna just run it real quick. ITRRM. I'm gonna ask it to ls opt v dist. Okay, so that's the stuff that I expected. And so I should be able to run it now. And so the Docker container, like the reason I'm doing the React build and putting the files into a specific place there is so that the Actix web server can, oh, you know what, I messed up. I need to map a port, so let's just do a capital P so it automatically gives me a port number, which is 32769. Okay. Yeah, so the static files are dropped in that specific directory so that the Actix web server can host them, basically. All right. Success. Well, I guess that about does it. In summary, I'm digging Tailwind. Tailwind is treating me well enough. And GraphQL, I think, has some legs. I'd like to do a little bit more with that. Seems pretty good. And it took me a little while to get my head around it, but seems legit. It's you know, a lot of the stuff that we do at work is really focused on the HTTP protocol stuff, you know, so we're modeling resources, we're setting up endpoints to capture the essence of the operations, and then we're, you know, dealing with the marshalling, converting data types here and there, and all that kind of stuff. We do it at both ends. But with GraphQL, a lot of the protocol level stuff just kind of happens seamlessly for you. So that's nice. Yeah, pretty good. But okay, I guess that's gonna do it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have anything planned for future streams, but I will definitely think about what else I can do, because this was kind of fun. And yeah, time to ship it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for hanging out, keeping me company. I will see you next time. Take care.